Yep. I'd like to call to order the Landmarks Commission meeting for October 23rd, 2023. The time is currently 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
David Craycraft,
Present.
Pete Lynch,
Present.
Roger White present, Linda Bovee,
Present.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Present.
Whit Wardell.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Rich Dobda from tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call, David Craycraft,
Yes.
Pete Lynch,
Yes.
Roger White, yes, Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Can I get an approval of minutes for the September 25th, 2023 Landmarks meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of September the 25th.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Pete Lynch,
Yes.
David Craycraft.
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Linda Bovee.
Yes.
Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Roger White, yes.
Pending applications?
The first application on tonight's agenda is CA 23042. The address is 40 East Mound Street. The requests this evening are for some modifications that was made to the fence that you can kind of see in this photograph here. Up on the screen there are some photos of what the previous fence style looked like. This was a more traditional agricultural style fence with a 3-rail wood design. The property owner had since modified this fence to kind of line up a little better with the neighboring fence. You can see that in this photo here. This yellow line kind of shows the location of where the previous fence was at. And then what the applicant did is they extended it over to tie into the neighboring fence, changed that rail design from 3 to 5 rails to tighten up the spacing a little bit. It's my understanding they did this change just due to a dog in the yard, wanted to contain it a little better. And it looks like with the modifications as well, this chicken wire component has been removed, at least on this front elevation. Another photograph here just showing how it was extended from the termination of the neighbor's fence to tie in their accessory building along the alley. And then again, just a kind of before photograph here showing it was the smaller section of the yard that has since kind of extended down to encapsulate the entirety of the rear yard. Questions from the commission?
Andrew, do we know if this fence is any higher than it was before or just tighter together?
Looking at the photos here, it looks like the fence is the same height as what was there before. And then just doing approximate scaling with the posts, it looks like they just kind of dropped one down in the middle to make room for the additional 2. And the property owner's here to answer any questions you have as well.
Yes, the fence did not change height, it's
Would you-
36 inches.
Would you mind stepping up to the podium, please? Thank you. Sign in with your name and address.
Hi. Yes, the fence did not change height. It stayed the same height at 36 inches.
And the fence is all wood, correct?
Yeah, it's all wood.
So we're talking about the fence across the front and across the back? You know where the gate is?
Yes, that right there. The gate was already there. When I removed the fence that he was showing there in the yellow picture line, I used, when the fence was there, so there was like 3-4 feet of my property, there was space between the 2 fences. So I took my fence down to gain back the property space, and I just shifted over the panels on the back that I had for the time being. So, but the gate and everything in the back was always where it was located.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to make the gate match the new fence style? Or is it going to stay?
Yes, I do.
So you'll just put horizontal rails in between the larger open spaces, correct?
Yes, I'm gonna drop, the gates are still a little bit higher, and so it'll match up the other sections that are there in the back showing the 5 rails at the same
Okay.
height and everything. I just haven't got to that yet.
Okay, so it'll be 5 rails?
Yes.
Okay.
And you did that just as a change in the grade in the yard? It's a little lower in the back, so you got that bottom rail added.
Yes.
You can kind of see that right in this corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bottom rail was actually, I cut it so it would try to be even across the top versus going at a strange angle.
This is kind of an atypical fence for town. How long, your fence has been there for quite a while like this, right?
It's been there for over 7 years,
3 years.
yeah. So the 3 rail was there, yeah.
Yeah, normally it'd be a picket one.
Normally, yeah, vertical pickets, but this is an existing situation. I don't think it changes the overall appearance of it much.
I mean, I like it better with
You
the,
know,
with the 5 rails versus the 3 rails.
Andrew, we're just voting to leave this as is
Correct.
or not. Does anyone have any further questions?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve application CA-23-042 as stated.
I will second. Roll call, please.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Roger White, yes. Whit Wardell.
Yes.
David Craycraft.
Yes.
Linda Bovin.
Yes.
Keith Lynch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next application for tonight's agenda is CA 23-043. The address is 34 East Mound Street. The request is for some fence modifications that was made to this property. Up on the screen is the March 2023 Landmarks Commission approval. The property owner came before the Landmarks Commission, asked to replace the existing fence with a new 6-foot standard dog ear privacy fence. A little confusion at that March meeting. The plans that were submitted showed a very decorative dual-sided fence. During discussion with the applicant, it was noted that a simple privacy fence was really all that they were after. So that's what these 3 conditions reflect in their approval from March. Since that approval letter went out, staff went out and saw that the fence had been modified. What you see here is the existing 3-foot wood picket fence has been modified to have the additional lattice added to the top. This is a photograph you can see here from Mound Street, and then kind of working away around the property on the east side here, what that lattice work looks like on that, from that vantage point. Property owner's here to answer any questions you guys have. If you have anything for me, I'd be glad to help answer.
So what happened from March 27th until now?
The existing 4-foot fence, that was already there and approved, and then the lattice work was what my budget allowed for to extend the fence upward.
Did you make any phone calls to the city
No,
regarding those changes?
no, I did not.
So we approved the 4-foot fence?
The 4-foot fence was approved in 2021. It was noted at that time it was going to be a 5. I didn't go out there with a measuring tape to confirm or not. But the rear yard fence was approved in 2021. What was approved in March was to replace this shorter fence with a 6-foot tall and almost the same design, just the pick, it wouldn't be picket, it would be solid.
No spacing.
Correct.
Can we go back to that previous approval page?
To the left-hand side is what was submitted showing the dimensions and location for the fence. The right is the approval letter that had the style and conditions for that style's approval.
Doesn't look like any changes to location, just didn't replace it.
Correct.
Dr. Kelly, were you?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't appear to be anything like what we approved.
No. Typically, we need you to come back in and have a discussion before we make changes to what was agreed to. Is there any reason why that didn't happen?
When I decided to do the lattice work, I figured since I already had the 6-foot approval, it would just meet the 6-foot requirement. So that's the reason.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be 6-foot dog-eared. From what is listed in here, is what we approved.
Well, you know what, if you would have come in and submitted what you did, I mean, I would have probably said no, just because it's just out of character with the existing fence.
I would second that. I don't think we have anything like this,
Yeah.
quite like this in town.
Would you be happy with just going back to the original fence that you had, that 4-foot or whatever?
Unfortunately, my dog is able to jump, so that's why I had to add the extension on it. So I just can't have him loose in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I can only see approving what we had originally discussed.
Agreed. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve CA 23043.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Linda Bovin,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
No.
David Craycraft,
No.
Roger White, no. Whit Wardell,
No.
Pete Lynch.
No.
The next application on tonight's agenda
Thank you.
is CA 23.
I'm up on the second one as
Oh,
well.
this is you as well? Okay.
043. The address is 34 East Mound. The request this evening is for new shutters on the exterior of the home. Up on the screen are some photographs I'll kind of run through of the new shutters that have been installed. The material for the shutters wasn't provided in the application, but looking at the photos and going visiting the site again, the applicant can help fill in kind of some of the details here, but from staff's observation, it looked like these shutters were hand-built, created. It's kind of hard to see, but see if I can zoom in on this one photo here. If you look at this shutter on this window here, it looks like the applicant took some 1x4s or 1x6s, abutted them together, and then applied some three-dimensional shapes in front of that to create the potted flower kind of look to it. When looking at kind of the shutters around the home in general, you can see here that they have been kind of altered and sized more appropriately to the size of the window. There's some that are shown on the porch under here, only on one side of this window. And then this window here where there was this abrupt cutoff, there is no shutters present. The applicants here can maybe help with the dialogue on the material and the construction of them. But they are present on all sides of the home that are visible from the street.
Were there shutters on the house to begin with?
No.
You know what, I mean, I think the shutters are just out of character with the rest of the neighborhood. That's my opinion. And again, if you were to come before the landmarks and present this, I would have said no.
Commissioners, if I may, I'm Stephen Crum. I'm the previous owner of the property and Amy's stepfather. And looking back after she received this notice, I pored over the Old Town guidelines, and I would like to point out that there are no mention of shutters in the Preservation District guidelines. There are some very explicit directions in the Historic District, page 42. but on pages 66 and 67, there is no mention of shutters. And the only other mention I could find was a table in the end under new builds. So I think that what I'm thinking is that this is, it may not be typical, but on the other hand, I think that for this house, in this style, in this color, it actually works with the fairy garden theme in the front, perennial beds. And I think, and they are totally wood, they were custom made. That was not something that we did or she did herself. And so that's just my 2 cents worth. That I think absent any real guidelines or presentation or availability of a objective standard against which to compare, I would tend to think that we can look at it from an aesthetic standpoint. And I think amongst your package, there were multiple pages of unsolicited public comment that were consistently very favorable about this.
It needed to be brought to our attention before any of the work was done to start with.
That goes for both historic and preservation.
Right.
Any changes to the exterior architecture need to
And
come
that
before.
should be something that should be addressed as well, because I didn't know that shutters addition, there's nowhere that I received any kind of documentation in the mail or in my closing documents. I've looked through those as well, about, any addition things to the
The city mails it out at least once a year.
I just got that like a couple days ago.
They've done it for the last, Andrew.
This will be the second year that
Second
we've
year.
done that.
So,
Yeah, and my parents owned the home before. They never received a letter as
No,
well.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I also noticed that the ordinance was approved on September 7th of '22, and we're now in October of '23. So, and we actually moved out of that house in May. So we did not receive any notice either.
Just to fill in too, prior to the letters being sent in the mail, we did door hangers every other year for the last 10 years. So I'm not sure how long you resided in that property, but you would have received a door hanger at least since 2012. So, there are mechanisms, we try to do to notify all properties in the Old Town area that they are within. Instances like this one, if you were to purchase the house between last October and this October, you didn't get the annual notice until the annual turnaround in October. But since then, because of work by this Landmarks Commission, we have initiated a process where when you go to set up your water bill, you're notified by our water clerk as of June of this year that you're within the Old Town area. Again, to help curb some of these concerns, you're not getting notified by your realtor. You're not being notified, within your closing documents, you're within an Old Town area, because they do not have the requirement to disclose that information if they are unaware of it. However, the city is actively working on educating all of the residents, all 500 some properties within the Old Town area of this status. So items like this, do not occur.
Is it safe to say, I know there's some differences between preservation and historic district, but general rule of thumb is that changes to exterior architecture have to follow suit of exchanging things like for like. So the house that didn't have shutters on it before, therefore you couldn't really exchange them like for like. Therefore it needs to come before us. Much like the fence.
And to the answer the applicant's questions in regards to the preservation district not addressing shutters specifically, it's not within that specific subsect, but within the beginning of both chapters for historic and preservation. And I put this in your packets. I try to provide relevant information in your packets for whatever sections do apply to these applications come before you guys. At the very beginning of the Old Town Guidelines, it says, when is it needed? When work is being done that results in a change to the exterior of a property or its environment, including any change to the exterior of a building or principal structure, including not limited to windows, doors, roofs, porches, changes in siding, cleaning, tuck pointing of brick, changes in paint, properties in the historic district, or any other modification that alters the appearance of a building, even when a building permit's not required. So there is no specific on shutters within the Preservation District rules. However, the section really coordinates anything you want to do. Come see the Landmarks Commission. The Old Town Guidelines are to help guide if there is a section within the code. These are the recommendations to follow before you come to the Landmarks Commission. So the absence of that information isn't saying there are no regulations or rules. There's just not best practices, to follow. So that's why the process is still relevant. And that goes for anything within Old Town as well.
Thank you, Andrew, for clearing that up. My opinion on this is just that the shutters fall under architectural detail, under the millwork and siding of the house. So I think it's kind of covered under that section. For me, as Dave said here, Mr. Craycraft said, I think if this came before us, I would have said no as well. These shutters, although they are nice, are not historically accurate to this age of house or this style of house, in my opinion.
Are there any more comments from the commission?
I do not have any more questions. I'd like to make a motion to approve application CA-23-044 as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Pete Lynch,
No.
Whit Wardell,
No.
David Craycraft.
No.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
No.
Linda Boving. No. Roger White, no.
And Amy, I will send you a letter in the mail later this week, just like I did previously. This letter, at the end of it, will have the steps if you do wish to appeal their decision to City Council, how to go through that process. That way you can explore another, route as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Thanks.
The next application on tonight's agenda is CA 23-045. The request for the subject property is for new siding, windows, and gutters at 109 Park Street. Just for a brief refresher for the Landmarks Commission, this property owner came before you in March 2023 to replace the siding, windows, and gutters and downspouts. The request at the time was for a new Dutch lap siding, a new new internal grid 6/6 windows, new OG style gutters and downspouts, and the aluminum coil wrap around the windows and trim. Since that meeting, the applicant has come back with the current proposal for your review. Samples of the siding profile and color, as well as the trim, are being passed out. I believe the trim color is the one that's denoted with a star on the back, if you guys have any questions. The applicant, based off of your feedback from the March meeting, has updated the application to change the siding to be a vinyl shake siding to match the shake style that is currently on the house. The windows have been modified to be a 2/1 with a simulated divided light grid. And then the window trim is shown to be a MDF trim board around the window in lieu of the coil wrap that was previously presented. The applicant would like to Also install the original OG-style gutters and downspouts on the house and the garage. Again, with the previous application, the awnings would be removed from the house. If there's any questions from the commission, I can help answer. I put in the application the information from the contractor, just indicating the scope of their work. And then the applicant has, again, provided the samples.
So the awnings will not go back on?
No, no, they will not go back on. And we're going to do the trim around the windows. It's going to be, what would that be, the 4-inch, the wider type trim. So we probably won't do shutters as we had done before, since we're going to do the wider trim. And the work's being done, Ray Grodd House, actually, thankfully, we were given his name by Patrick Shea, so that helped, to get somebody local and a little bit more affordable than some of the other contractors, because it's very costly to do the shingles.
So you're putting new shutters on the garage also? I mean, not gutters?
What he's doing, and the last time when we were here before, we were not going to do anything to the garage, and you were okay with that because we talked. However, Ray has told us there will be enough of the cedar shake vinyl left that he will go ahead and do the front so that it will match the house. But that, before it was presented that it would be okay to leave the garage. But
So just the front side?
just the front side, yes, and it'll have new gutters and trim as well, I believe.
just gutters and
Okay.
downspout.
Gutters and downspouts on the garage, and then the front portion.
The trim, will there be new trim on the
The windows.
gable,
Oh,
under the roof, the gable ends, like the front, see the little vent or the loop?
yeah, he's going to put the new vent up there,
Okay.
The trim on the eaves there,
Oh,
going up the gable, is that gonna be replaced with?
I'm assuming it'll either be replaced or painted.
Cleaned up?
Yes, oh yeah, absolutely.
Just wanna make sure there's nothing wrapped in metal,
Okay,
in aluminum coil.
okay. So even that, I'm not sure we didn't discuss that, but even that section, just that at the top,
So
you wouldn't approve for him to do that? If we
It
do
would-
the
It
board?
would be a new board. The same type of material that he's using around the windows would work, right?
between the board and the shutters, there is a small strip of aluminum that's there now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what me and the property owner talked about when she came into file. So that material is just gonna be finished to match the rest of the trim.
That's not just the drip edge for the roof?
No, there's
Top part.
a piece right within, see that shadow line right there? That small piece has one there.
Okay.
This piece in front of it is a wood material. I think the quote says that all the trim will match.
Do you know if that particular part of the trim needs replaced, or can it be painted? Can it be preserved?
I'm not sure, and he may have mentioned, like what you had said, that he would go ahead and just cover it with what was already there, which I believe is that metal.
Yeah.
It
When
says
he met with us
install
the
new
last time.
windows.
Pardon me?
Trim window. And it says, well, on this piece right here.
Right, we're trimming that out with
Like the, what is it,
M-
MDF?
MDF or whatever the
Okay.
board is.
Kind of like out
yes.
here on the side of the building, around these windows.
Okay.
that Have the.
Which
wood
is what we
texture.
talked. Basically, we're coming back and doing everything that you have asked for.
So we're asking about that gable trim, just if it does need to be replaced, we're gonna specify it needs to be replaced with the same material.
Even though there is aluminum, like Andrew pointed out up at the top.
It's the area in between.
Yeah, there's a small, you have exposed trim, and then you have, looks like a small piece of metal there.
This wider piece is about the same width as the gutter. That's the piece that could be done in the same MDF material. It's what's above that is that existing metal that we talked about.
Right.
Well, I guess we would ask if the windows are being trimmed with MDF, if they have to replace any other type of trim, that would be MDF also.
Or something.
Any exterior.
Yeah, it would just be two boards, basically, they'd put up there and cut out a 45. so it'd
That's not going to
match.
add, we're already putting a lot of money into this because of
We just don't allow any aluminum coil. So if they're planning on wrapping anything with aluminum coil, that's not gonna work. So if it's all right.
Okay, well, we'll just tell him, that's fine, because we need to get this done, so, and,
So
I'm not
just the
gonna argue.
windows and there's no outside corners
yeah.
on this. Typically with vinyl, they're gonna need to put some kind of outside corner on.
I have no idea. I
Yours
have
yours
no
are
idea.
mitered now where they come together. With a vinyl, they're gonna actually have to have an outside corner, so you're gonna probably add a piece of trim there. Do you prefer if that is the same color of the windows, or do you like it more monotone like it is now with the body of the house?
I would rather have it, I think, with the body of the house,
Yeah.
don't you think? That would look best.
You'll need to specify that.
Well, let's specify, because I do not want to come back, and we have already contracted, and the work is scheduled to be done before, the weather gets bad, so we just can't keep coming back in. We've been messing with this since March. So you tell me what you'll approve, and we will abide so that we can get this done. So that question was not brought up last time, so we're trying to appease you and do what,
It looks like everything's already that way now, so we'll add a stipulation just to keep it monotone with the.
yeah,
feel.
I think that would look
I
nicer,
mean, I
don't
think
you?
it would,
Huh?
I think you would like a monotone.
I do, I like
Yeah.
things more, right,
Versus a picture
plainer.
frame, with the corner boards
Right.
of
Right.
white.
I
and
agree, I
everything
think-
else is-
Let's hope they could make it the same color as the house.
He's done a lot of work. In fact, he did Patrick Shea's home out on Waterloo. So Ray is a professional. He's done a lot of work. And he is familiar with what the city will approve and will not approve.
Do you know what color, does it specify what color downspouts and gutters are going on there?
I think the clay or, what was the other one?
The
More
window
so, more so to
trim,
match the trim?
Yeah.
yeah, match the trim, it says, the last line.
Okay, I must have missed that, thank you.
The windows will be the beige
Almond or-
color.
Yeah.
Are they, is that?
To match the
window
is that
and the
what it
window
was? Now I'm a
trim.
little confused.
Is a textured 4-inch MDF board to match the gutters and downspouts.
Okay. Is there anything gonna be done to the front stairs, or they just gonna stay, looks like they're painted?
Yes, yeah, we'll paint those a different color, of course.
Yeah, we're going to probably do all the block around the bottom.
Yeah, around the bottom,
Looks like it's about the same color as the
it's
siding
all the
now, so
tan.
you'll just
We'll
match
probably,
match
sti-
the
we'll probably
siding.
stick, yeah, with
Yeah.
that dark charcoal and the tan color with the ivory accents.
So the foundation looks like it matches the siding?
Yes.
Correct.
Even where it wraps around the porch there, so are you thinking of doing the steps in the lighter color? Or would you just match?
I'm not real sure about that, and I don't even know around the bottom. I mean, once we get the siding up, it's gonna be that dark charcoal, so I don't know if we're gonna paint the bottom the dark charcoal, or if we're gonna paint it the color of the trim.
That could probably look fine either way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a good decision. I'm pretty good with aesthetics, so I am confident that sometimes you need to see it done to determine what is going to look best.
Do we know what the color of the garage is? If we change that on the front, looks like this is much darker.
Yeah, the front will be
Yeah,
darker,
it
it'll be the
is.
same color as the
Yeah.
side. It'll be the-
But that's, yes, we were not going to do anything to the garage, as we discussed last time, because that had already been done years ago. So,
I'm just asking because you have outside corner trim there as well, so if the outside corner trim on your house matches, it's not gonna match on the garage.
And the sides of the garage would be a
Unless
different color.
you replace those two front outside corner pieces as well.
I got you.
you know what,
It's a
yeah.
little contagious when you,
Talking about
Yeah.
this trim around the door and
Mm-hmm.
then these pieces that frame it in.
you probably could just paint those without replacing it.
Right, yeah,
since
to make
it's
it match,
vinyl.
yeah, because they're in good shape, so.
What, is all the sides of the garage the same siding?
It is, and again, originally, we weren't proposing to do anything to the garage, so this was just something that the contractor said, you know, I'm going to have enough left over, I'll go ahead and do the front, that way it will match, so.
Will the sides of the garage remain this tan?
Yes, they're gonna, yes, but we're accenting in the tan, so we're combining those so that it all works together. I mean, those two colors are actually very pretty when you look at them together. I showed you, and you even agreed.
That's the one.
Yes. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember. Are the windows the tan?
I think it would be all right if the trim was matching, but it's gonna get busy.
What,
And on the garage, if just changing the siding itself. So you may, like I said, you may want to paint the trim.
right. Well,
Just
yeah,
to
if
match
it
the
looks,
siding.
if it
Paint
looks
the trim to
weird.
match the siding. just
Yeah,
on
if
the
it
front.
looks
Yeah.
weird, I definitely will.
I mean, I think if it's two different colors, I think it'll just be an accent more than anything.
Right. It's just different from the house.
Right.
Do you want to change the siding on the front of the garage, or did he just has extra material?
No.
He's gonna have extra materials.
He just
so
had extra
offered that
material,
up.
so we're not, that's not anything that's an additional fee to us, and I just think if he has it, is to, you know, waste it, I think it would look nice. But if that opens up a whole nother can of worms, I'm not going there. So-
I'm not a voting member, my 2 cents, if it was my property, I would keep the siding in the basement in case there's damage, that way you have replacement panels.
Right, but I think it
And I
would
would
look
leave the
nice to do
garage
the
the
front, to
same.
match the house.
Oh, you're
Because it would
saying-
have a different color on 3/4 of the garage and not,
You
like
can't
the
see
door is
that.
gonna be tan, the trim's tan, the vent's tan, it changes. I understand what they're saying, the trim on your house is gonna be all dark, the trim on this garage on one elevation is gonna be tan.
I need to call Ray, because right now, in my mind, the accents are tan, so if the house is in that dark gray and the front of the garage, it's gonna all kind of coordinate with that taupey color, and the garage door will be painted to match, so we're
So-
gonna paint the garage door to match.
This is a question they
The
asked
other
you,
trim.
maybe I'll show you what they were asking on the screen here. So you see this
Yes,
line?
and that's where he said we could paint that.
So the commission asked if you wanted that line on the house to be the dark color or the tan color.
I would rather it match and be
The
the
dark.
same color as that.
You want a monotone
Yes, I
color
do.
across the front of the
So
house.
if he does the front of the garage, then as Peter said, we will paint that, or if it's not that costly, we will ask him to replace that. I'm not gonna let the house be monotone and the garage be different.
Including the garage door color.
Absolutely, we're
Okay.
gonna do the garage.
I just
door.
wanted to make sure, I thought I heard something different, I'm not sure if they heard.
Well,
so
no, I
wanted
don't
to
know
make
that the
sure.
garage door is gonna be painted the same color as the siding, then the entire front of the garage is gonna be gray, because we are still going to have some tan accent and ivory, so it'll all be the dark gray, the tan, and the ivory color. So I don't want the garage, everything to be charcoal. I
Okay.
mean, so the door will be painted to complement
But
the trim
house-
around the windows.
The house trim will match the garage as well.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, yes.
That's what I
Oh,
heard
no,
was
yes,
different. I
yes,
thought you were
yes.
saying you
And
wanted
Peter
that to
said
be
we could
charcoal.
paint that if we did that,
The
okay?
house trim will match the garage trim
Correct.
Yes,
on the front
yes.
elevation.
Yeah, the front
Yes,
elevation.
yes.
I was just making a suggestion, so.
Yes.
We haven't got that far.
Yeah.
yet. I think like Andrew says, I think you open more cans of worms by modifying the garage. I think if it was mine, I would agree that I would keep that extra siding for repairs when
Well, he may have enough, you know, I don't know. And we may decide to do that, so, I mean, as the work goes, if we end up not doing the front of the garage, I mean, do we have to come back?
Whatever you ask for tonight is the work that's expected will be done. So if you omit something from what you say tonight, then your project won't be complete. And then I would be following up with you, why didn't it complete a year from now? So that's why I'm asking the question is,
Well, our plans are to do the front of the garage. I mean, I personally think it would be very pretty to have the fronts match. However,
Can we give them the option to
yes,
do the front of the garage or not do the front of the garage?
thank you.
Either
That
way.
Yeah, because you're basically approving it either way. You're happy with either way we
I'm
go.
happy with either way, so can't we just approve it either either way.
If that's the way someone on the board wants to motion, then you all could vote how you feel in that regard or
But
modify.
if the front of the garage is sided with the same shakes, vinyl shakes as the front of the house, the trim will need to match.
Yes, and
what they
we're
do to
in
the house.
agreement to do that. We are in agreement.
I just don't want you guys to have to pay any more money because you want to match the trim on the house if he didn't include
Right.
matching the trim.
My
or
husband
maybe
can
just
paint.
leave
If
it.
we have to paint the trim, my husband is
It's
an
still
excellent.
tricky on where you start and stop.
Right.
You have a solid outside corner, so if you're adding a different type of siding to the front, so now we have two different materials, and you're trying to choose where you start and stop your painting.
Okay. So as Mr. White said, if you approve it with either option, if we do the shake shingles on the front of the garage, make it required to have the trim the same as the house, or if we decide to leave the garage as is, then we do not have to come back to council. I mean, if you can do that, that would be greatly appreciated.
How much different is your trim color that you're asking for than the current color of the house?
There's
Is it
not,
the-
it's not a lot, it's not,
It's pretty close.
yeah, it's very close.
The only reason why I
Oh, it's
ask
very
is,
close, actually.
like Pete said, if you have to, so like that, this corner trim
Mm-hmm.
wraps the corner. It's like this. It's not, just a straight board. So when you go to paint it, you're painting at to the imaginary point. And if it's a different color, then you would have 3 colors on the garage by
I
adding
see
the
what you're
garage to the
saying,
property.
yeah, they're all pretty neutral, and I mean, the side of the, I don't think it's gonna make that big of a deal. Can I see the colors again? I just want to verify.
We're guessing that the starred one is the one that you're doing? Andrew, while she's looking at that, does it specify what size, what the spacing on the siding is? Is it a 6-inch lap? or-
It does not, and I'm glad you brought that up, Pete. When I Googled Stylecrest vinyl shake siding in onyx, Stylecrest does not have a vinyl shake in onyx color, so I'm not sure where
The
that.
siding, yeah, it's,
I went to
in order.
Stylecrest website, and that color didn't show up on their website.
well, I'll call him now.
And I
because he said
believe you
it's
'cause you're
in,
holding it.
Actually, it's in.
Yeah,
It's
you-
already been ordered and paid for and in.
I mean, you're holding the sample, so
Yeah, I
I
don't-
believe that, just their website didn't have it, so I couldn't find any information on what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Like, there were as many colors, there were like 32 colors, but
Grab
the
the
onyx
phone,
wasn't
I'm
one
gonna
of them.
text him. I'm confused here. I just want to verify the color again.
And Tammy, the color in your application says here, it is
Trim around the windows is gonna be the lighter color.
Yes.
Because we're-
Provia
Just
by
the windows and
Apco.
doors.
It
not
said
the
what?
outside corner.
It says Provia,
That's pretty close to-
Provia.
Right, that's the windows, but did it say,
Or make sense to.
I'm gonna, because the
garage
trim,
the way it is, do
we're
the-
gonna do this
I
as
think-
the
I
trim,
think
but what was the
adding-
white?
I
The
mean,
windows.
have we ever approved two
Okay,
different materials?
so
on the
yes,
garage?
this is all the
I think it's
trim,
better to
this
leave
is,
it as
the
is.
white is, or the ivory, like an off-white is the windows. He had to switch, the windows that he gave us the original estimate on, they do not have the simulated divided. They're from APCO, so he had to go to the Provia because they are the only ones that do the simulated divided. The other windows that he was going to install do not have the simulated divided.
Do you mind taking out the appropriate color from that ring and giving it back to them? That way they can, if it's possible, come out, or just hand it to them the exact way.
Yeah, but this is Sprouse, so let me,
Other than,
I know, but,
I know there's one that Joe Abbott did in this neighborhood where they added shakes to the gable,
uh-huh, yes.
but not changing one side.
The shakes on Abbott's are a scalp shake. They're not a textured square shape like this one. So it's a shake product, but it's a different.
Yeah, ours aren't
Design.
scalloped. They look just like what's up there.
Do you have any idea what the space is? You have like 10-inch reveal on yours, which is.
I can-
much older
I think they're
style.
6.
Yeah, I think it's
Probably
smaller.
6.
I think they're 6. Let me see if I
Some-
can
there
pull
are-
up the style crest.
There are some that come in 8, but there's only a few companies who do that. I don't think this is one of them.
I'm asking him to call me, please, just so that we can, I had hoped he could come tonight.
Yeah, the Style Crest website was very hard to look around.
Being a contractor, my gut tells me that by trying to do what you're gonna do with the garage, there's gonna be additional costs, even though you have that material. You said before, if this opens up a whole can of worms, then maybe you don't want to do
I
it.
met more of a can of worms with you guys.
It's
I mean, if we're spending
It
$25,000
does
to
open
get
the
it done
lid.
right, to spend another 1,000 is not going, oh, here, he's calling, so let me. Hi, Ray, it's Tammy. I'm in front of the landmarks, and I have a couple questions. What was it you wanted to know, the space in the shingles?
I
or
just
the-
pulled it up here. It's a
Oh,
7-inch style.
It's a 7-inch split for the shake vinyl.
Yeah, that's good. So-
Okay. And did you, the onyx, because I know on their website it said they didn't have that color. It was a special order, okay, it was a special order. And then also, I can't, just to double check, the windows that we are doing are the Provia, and they are the, like ivory color, correct? The windows. And then the gutters, and the trim board is the beige color, correct? It's the gutter and the trim coil. Now, there's another question, like at the sides of the home, what did you call that, Peter? The
Corner boards.
corner
The corner
boards.
trim.
The corner trim, that's, we would like to have that match, have everything monotone,
Match the siding,
match the siding.
inside and outside corner.
You know what I'm saying, how it connects at the corners? Individual?
No, in the corners.
On the corners of the house. That will match. Oh, they come with corner posts. He's already ordered those that match the siding. Okay. Anything else?
How about the trim on the garage? Is that gonna be new?
You had
trim?
talked that you would have extra siding and that you would do the front of the garage. Okay. Right, exactly.
It's wrapped right now,
Yeah.
sir.
No, the garage is not wood, it's Dutch lap vinyl. But the thing is, once we get, the trim already on the garage is the tan, and if we're doing the house in the tan, even though it may not be exact, it may look so similar that it may not need to be painted. You know, yes, so that will be, I mean, if it doesn't match, we'll paint it. I think, is that the only questions, I think, for Ray? Thank you, Ray. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, so the color that we have up there now is very similar to this.
The corner trim on the house?
No, the corner trim on the garage is very similar to what the trim
On the-
is going to be on the house.
Okay, so the corner trim on the house?
Is going to, oh, I see what you're
Yeah, I
saying. The
thought you were gonna
corner,
match
okay,
that.
you're right. So we will have to paint it because it needs to match. Or he'll order two more of what he ordered for the house.
But then the color wraps around the side.
Yeah, I know.
That won't match on
I
the
know,
side.
but I mean,
But he would have to
honestly,
take the corner boards off the garage,
That's a big-
and that
that's
is
a
gonna
big-
affect the
very big deal.
siding
yeah,
on the sides.
let us just paint it. I mean, please, that, to see the back and
But we're
and
trying
the
to make it
side.
easier for you and.
Right.
So
Right.
you don't incur any more
Well,
expense.
again, these decisions set precedents too, and I can't think of another situation where we've had, typically we don't allow vinyl at all. This is a compromise that we're doing for this
And we
neighborhood, this
appreciate
house.
that.
again, it's really difficult to start, stop, and I think with two different colors, two different materials on the garage.
I mean, before, and that was something that I brought up when we first proposed this. And I said to you, well, it might look a little odd to have the house in the shake style and the Dutch lap, and you all looked at me like, well, we don't see a problem with that. And now you're concerned about, now you're bringing all of that up and
No, we're
concerned about
saying
a little
don't touch
bit.
No, we're saying
We're
leave the
saying-
garage
we're
alone
saying
and
like
save
what you said
yourself
before.
some money.
Don't touch the garage.
Yeah, if we're not gonna do all four sides, that's
Yeah.
what we're saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
We don't touch it.
Well, then that's fine, then we just won't, we'll just keep that, because, yeah, it's not worth. I mean, we'll probably paint the garage door, is what, and we'll probably paint that the color of the house, to coordinate, to bring the two together.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yeah, that was just a favor he was doing, but if it,
That color's onyx.
it's called onyx, mhm.
Do we have any further questions? Anyone? I would like to make a motion that we approve application CA-23-045 as presented with the stipulations that any trim on the exterior, what did I say there? No aluminum coil. It's all gotta match the trim, same trim as around the windows.
Okay.
All the outside and inside corners on the house will match the vinyl siding color of onyx. And that the block and the front stairs will be painted in either color. whether
Now, the
or
trim at
onyx
the
is
top, that's gonna be, that'll all be in the tan, right? Yeah, that'll be like
Yeah.
the same as the windows and everything,
Yes.
right?
fine. It is now.
Well,
Yeah.
right, so
Yes.
that's what we'll be doing.
Yes, just I only specified the outside and
Okay.
inside corners.
Okay, okay.
And no garage work will be done except painting the garage door the onyx color like the house.
Mm-hmm.
Miss anything there? Anyone?
I think you
All
got
right.
everything.
Roll. Is that Whit? Yep. Roll call, please.
Roger White, yes. Pete Lynch,
Yes.
Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Linda Bovee,
Yes.
David Craycraft.
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll just come see you, Andrew, for the permit?
The only thing I need from you is just those details from your contractor on this information, and then you're good to go to get started. We don't do any inspections for siding or windows, so
So what do you mean, just have him write up something that talked about the corner piece?
I'll just
and-
send you an
Okay.
approval letter with these
Okay.
conditions on it.
Okay.
And then I just need, you to just drop something off that shows that those conditions will be met, and
Okay.
then you can get started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In terms of old new business, for those who haven't taken a look, the demo at the old Chase Bank building had started. They removed the ATM canopy area immediately after your approval. The front facade of that building has been started to be demoed. I talked to the property owner, they have put a halt on the demo on the front facade for the time being while they can figure out a plan to bring the building back to the photographs they presented to you last month. The material underneath the marble wasn't as favorable as what they hoped for, so they are reevaluating how to best do that project. I don't have anything else that I can think of at this moment for old new business.
All right. We get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. It is 7:53.
I'll second.
Roll call, Pete Lynch.
Yes.
David Craycraft.
Yes.
Roger White, yes. Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Whit Wardell.
Yes.
Linda Bovee.
Yes.